Welcome to BadgerBeat, your weekly look at the University of Wisconsin men's basketball team. Here with Jim Polzin today. I'm Adam Mertz from the State Journal and madison.com. Jim, the Badgers lose to Ohio State, a really tough one here on Saturday. Was that their shot at the Big Ten title this year?
They really needed that one just based on what the schedule holds for them the rest of the way. They have to go to Ohio State. They have to go to Michigan State. Those are the two best teams clearly in the Big Ten. They have, 4 of the next 5 games are on the road. And it's against a bunch of teams that are kind of in a similar boat as them. Illinois has to come here yet. They play 2 games against Minnesota, and all those teams are kind of on the bubble. It's a lot of this league this year is interesting in that there's probably 9 teams left that have a legitimate shot at being in the NCAA tournament. So the month of February and early March is going to be very interesting to see kind of how it plays out. It's going to be a lot of teams kind of fighting for those bids.
The Badgers have 4 of their next 5 games on the road before finishing with 2 at home. That might not necessarily be a bad thing, and it's 4 losses here at home for the first time in Bo's tenure, and it seems like they do play better on the road for whatever reason, doesn't it?
It's strange. It's bizarre. I mean, they're 4-1 on the road, 3-3 at home in Big Ten play, and it kind of defies logic because they've won at a couple places, Illinois and Purdue, where they just traditionally have not played well. So I'm interested to see, Illinois has taken some hits at home. They just lost Northwestern at home. Purdue just lost at home to Indiana. So, suddenly those road wins don't look as good as they maybe did when they happened, but that's just kind of the state of the Big Ten this year. So, yeah, I'm anxious to see if they can kind of, they lose one at home, if they can get it back at home. On the road, excuse me. If they can go win at Minnesota, then they're keeping themselves in the race. But, they really needed to get ahead of Ohio State in the standings, and because, there's going to be some tough games coming up, and to be in first place heading into these final 4 weeks would have been huge. Now you're trailing Ohio State by a game and a half. It's really going to be tough to catch up.
The Badgers' 3-point shooting again plagued them on Saturday. It's been a story that you've written so many times that I'm sure you're almost tired of getting at it. You're trying to find a new angle. Is there a new angle? Are they just a team that lives and dies by that?
It's bizarre. A couple of those early losses, the Michigan State one in particular, shot selection was an issue, and you could kind of point to that and say, hey, that's why the shooting was poor. But I went back and watched every single one of the 3-pointers from Ohio State game, and for the most part, probably 75% or upward, they were good looks. They were, Bo Ryan likes when his guys get the ball into the post and kick out to the shooters, and that was happening a lot of times. They were open looks. They had plenty of time before Ohio State closed. They were stepping into their 3-pointers, all things that Bo wants his shooters to do, and they just weren't going in. So sometimes you just kind of got to scratch your head. I've sat here every practice and watched those shots go in. Game day comes around, they're not going in. I think confidence has something to do with it, and how do you fix that? I don't know. You need some good things to happen to you and kind of go from there. So, it's hard. It's a head scratcher because these guys can make the shots, they just aren't.
Thursday's game at Minnesota, the Gophers lost the first 4 Big Ten games. They had that huge upset at Indiana when Indiana was really on a roll, and they're 5-2 since then. Can you break down a little bit where the Gophers stand? You mentioned they're one of those teams that are sort of on the bubble right now.
Yeah, they've really, I think a lot of people wrote them off, and probably including me, early in the season when they lost their best player, Trevor Mbakwe. He was a guy that gave them 15 points, 10 rebounds. He was a preseason All-Big Ten type guy, was clearly going to be their best player, and they don't have him, but maybe in a strange way it's worked out in that they have more guys contributing. They're kind of a group of no-names in a lot of ways. They don't have stars, but they have a lot of guys contributing. Tubby's going to play 10 guys, and he'll play them early. It's not like, these guys are coming in the second half. He plays a group of 5 and another group of 5 early in the game. It's just a team that seems to be gelling at the right time of the season. They play well together. They play hard. They play, good defense. They're athletic, and it's going to be a tough game up there. That's a tough place to play. So I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of how UW bounces back from the Ohio State game in a tough environment.
Thanks for joining us. We'll have coverage from Jim Polzin on madison.com sports all week.